What's up, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Sports Sermon. I am Jason Gandhi. I am here with the college football guru himself, Dan Majors, and Dylan Staggy. We are here today to talk about the Big Ten East. See what's going to go on with Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State. Our teams like Maryland, Rutgers, and IU, some sleepers. We're going to get all into all of that and more as we
Funny,
go.
Jason.
As we get into the teams. Like I said, Dan is our college football guru, so I don't really have much more to say before I throw it over to Dan. Before I do, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Sports Sermon, sports with a Z. We're going to go team by team on this. We're going to do every Power 5 conference and maybe do a few sleeper teams. Like if Dan decides, you know what, we're going to do Memphis. Maybe we're doing Memphis. I don't know. It's a random team that's always in there as a sleeper. So we'll get into all of that and more. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. But Dan, do you want to take it away?
Yeah. So we're going to go in order of division standings from last year. So let's start off with the Ohio State Buckeyes as they went 12-2 last year. Finished 8-1 in the conference and won the Big Ten title. But then they got blown out by Iowa late in the year, which was the difference in why they did not make the playoff. They returned 12 total starters, 7 on offense and 5 on defense. Their key losses include J.T. Barrett, Jerome Baker, Chris Worley, Sam Hubbard, and Denzel Ward. So I mentioned J.T. Barrett. They lose career passing leader J.T. Barrett. What do you guys make of the quarterback position this year?
So Haskins comes in, and it seems like a lot of people are high on him. Me personally, I really like J.T. Barrett in college. I personally think he was one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in college football in the last 10, 15 years. For me, I don't know about Haskins. I haven't seen him play. I don't dive into Ohio State football. Phil Steele loves him. I mean, that's my magazine I've always used, and he has him on the preseason third All Big Ten team. So stuff like that, where it's just people are very high on him. I'm not sold truly just because I haven't seen him play. But what I think, from what it sounds like, what I think the big difference could be with Ohio State's offense this year compared to years previous, his arm strength and accuracy. If he can, because J.T. Barrett, what made him so efficient or so effective was his ability to run to keep teams on their toes. Haskins can do that, but then also beat teams with his arm. If he can beat teams with 60, 70-yard bombs, but then also have the accuracy to go 5-yard slants, 10 yards, stuff like that, they're going to be lethal. So I personally don't know much because I haven't gotten to Ohio State, watched Haskins because he's new. But from what it sounds like, I think he has potential to take the offense to another level, but I'm personally a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Haskins, and I think he can step up. Ohio State's had a good record with quarterbacks. I mean, you even see Cardale Jones, the third string, stepping up.
Baller.
And
shout out, not going to school, Cardale Jones.
He was great when he stepped in. And I mean, guys like Braxton Miller couldn't even have success in the NFL. Terrell Pryor. I mean, Ohio State just has a good run of quarterbacks who didn't even have that much talent once they got into the NFL. But my point is, I think Haskins can step in and be even better than J.T. Barrett, just on, like Jason mentioned, a pure arm strength, talent level. J.T. Barrett might not have been the most talented quarterback, but he got things done, and I think Haskins has the potential to do it even better.
Yeah, even though J.T. Barrett, he was a legend in Columbus, he had his struggles, and I think Haskins, he will have his struggles, but I think he'll be a fine quarterback, like you guys said. He'll be a fine quarterback on a very good team. But I think the thing they will miss the most about Barrett is his leadership. He was a natural-born leader, and he even did the team speech in the locker room every game last year. I think that leadership will be missed greatly. Also, Tate Martell, he will be one of the best backups in the country, and I think he definitely gets his chances this year. He was the number one quarterback out of high school, and I don't think they're going to sit the number one quarterback out of high school on the bench for 2 straight years.
Well, Dwayne Haskins is going to have to get ready fast because they've got week 2 a tough game against Rutgers that they really need to be worried about.
Big time.
Rutgers is a powerhouse.
Oregon State's not much better.
Now they just need Kansas, and they've got a real great opening schedule. Ohio State always schedules easy. That's what sucks. Besides the Oklahoma game versus Baker, they always schedule easy. I would love to see Ohio State Notre Dame play non-conference. Things like that.
I mean, they got TCU this year. TCU's not as good as
this isn't like Alabama. Alabama,
But see,
They
Alabama
don't
always has a
schedule
good
enough.
game. I personally think I'm always like, oh, it's Alabama USC. Who they have this year? They have Alabama and somebody, Louisville. Like that's
Louisville,
like
right.
that's like at least like I just think
I
I'm
mean,
always
TCU
underwhelmed.
probably better than Louisville.
Maybe this year. I mean, like in general, like Louisville, I feel like has more of like a.
I wouldn't say
You don't
that.
think so? I don't know.
Program-wise, I'd go with
Bobby
TCU.
Petrino?
Yeah.
I love Bobby.
You love Bobby Petrino.
I don't actually
Who
love
likes Bobby Petrino?
No one likes Bobby
Anyway.
Petrino. What a horrible man. So this podcast has gone off the rails already. Shout out Bobby Petrino. What a guy. Dan, you want to go to the next question?
All right, next question. Ohio State, they're loaded basically everywhere. So what's your guys' favorite unit?
So for me, I look past the QB spot, and the team literally might be the most talented in the country from there on. Like I said, I'm skeptical on the quarterbacks. Like if you look past that, most talent maybe in the country. But
Alabama.
what?
Alabama. But
I'm just saying, yeah, like they're definitely up there.
Yep.
When I look at where's the next most talented, where's my favorite, I look to the guys right behind the quarterback. I got to look at the running backs. I think J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber are the most fun, but also the most explosive running backs in the country. The question was favorite and not best, so they might not be the best, like in terms of D-line or whatever. But like for me, I cannot wait to watch J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber tear it up. They're so explosive and so fun to watch because if they get one carry, the game could be over.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the running backs or the defensive line, just because of the two guys, Nick Bosa and Draymond Jones. They did lose some guys like Sam Hubbard a year ago, but Bosa and Jones are just going to
Yep.
be amazing.
I think the only two units that aren't elite in college football this year are the quarterback and linebacker. And then out of the rest of the units, I'd probably go with either running back or receiver, based on the fact.
No. I'm going back to your comment about the most elite. I personally don't think the receivers that elite. I think they're just deep. Like I don't look at the receiving corps and be like,
No,
they're studs.
they're definitely top 10.
They're
That's a
just
top
deep,
10 receiver.
though.
Exactly.
But I mean, like,
Okay, yes, they don't
You know what I'm
have a
saying? They don't
top
have, like,
guy. They don't have a
a
top
dude.
guy. Right.
yeah,
But they are loaded.
yeah. They have like seven. Isn't it like 7 returners?
Yeah,
Seven,
they're
yeah,
top.
something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's 7.
insane.
Yeah.
But I'd either go with running back or receiver based on the fact that they returned so many guys from last year, and they were elite last year. The defensive line and defensive backs lost some studs, but I still think they will be a top-of-the-line
They
talent.
always lose people in the backfield, and they're always good. Like I don't know how they do it. They just churn out backfield, like defensive backfields.
yeah.
They're just crazy. Like
Right.
Malik Hooker's gone.
Yep.
Then they have Gary and Conley. Like it's just like always a
Mhm.
next guy. It's just so good.
Yep. So let's move on. What do you guys think record and standings prediction for the Buckeyes this year?
Yeah, so I have them at 10-2. Really, it was a battle of do I have them going 11-1, 10-2, or 9-3. I couldn't go 9-3 because I really do think that they beat Penn State this year. I don't think that's going to be. I'm not as high on Penn State. I mean, we'll get there later. I just do not think they're that quote loaded. I'm second in the conference. I think their losses are to at Michigan State and and home for Michigan. So I think they go into the season like they start the season off 9-0 and then lose 2 of their next 3 to end the season.
Damn.
Yep.
I have 11-1 for the Buckeyes and first place.
All right. Who do you have them?
Yeah, what's your loss? Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State?
I
Or
mean,
Purdue.
it's got to be one of those 3. Not Purdue. Not
Sure,
Purdue.
that's
Not
what
Purdue.
you got it.
Maybe Indiana. I'm kidding.
I mean, Rutgers, dude. Week 2, I told you. Watch out for Rutgers. The
yeah.
Scarlet Knights.
Big time.
So
So who is
which
it?
one is? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have one. I think they lose one of those 3, though. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with Michigan State, though.
Michigan State.
So Rutgers
Wow.
it is.
All right. Michigan State. All right.
Why are you hating on the Spartans?
We'll see. All right. We will see.
No, we won't see. Why are you hating on the Spartans?
We will see. Okay, let's
Unbelievable.
focus on Ohio
Hater.
State right now.
You're a hater.
So I have Ohio State 11-1, finishing 8-1 in the conference, but then losing to Michigan. This is just how I had it playing out,
I think they lose to Michigan.
and I'm not going to say where they finish yet because I don't like where it goes. So I'll talk about that once we get to Michigan. Though.
No, but see, this is the thing. This is where I really debated. Do they lose to Michigan? They haven't lost in so long
Dude,
to
I
Michigan.
know.
Where for
I
me, it's
understand
almost
that.
like, is it crazy to think they will? Like, yes, Michigan. Like for me, I think Michigan's the most talented team in the Big Ten. But like, maybe this is like their one team. Like every team has that one team they just cannot beat unless you're Alabama. They just beat everyone.
Right.
But like, is that team? I don't know. Like,
They haven't
I'm
had-
genuinely worried about Harbaugh. That dude cannot coach against high caliber teams.
I understand that, but I think
I have them losing
the
too, so I don't
big
think you're crazy. I'm
difference-
just saying.
Right.
Like,
The big difference for Michigan is they might actually have a quarterback this year. We don't totally know,
But
but I'm high on him.
I don't know.
That's
if
the
that's
difference.
It. I don't think
That's
that's
the
it.
difference.
I don't think it is. I think the quarterback's the easiest place to look because it's the most star. I think there is something fundamentally inside of them that's like they cannot get it done. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know what it is. There has to be something there because it's not like it's 2 years in a row. It's been like 6, hasn't it? I know there was a.
This is Harbaugh's 4th year.
But I know like a whole class went through Michigan without beating them. That this class that just graduated.
Oh yeah, no,
That
it's been since
I was
2010.
gonna say that was like 6 or 7 years.
They
Like
haven't beat Ohio State in Ann Arbor since 2000.
Yeah, like they literally. I'm telling you, I think there is literally something.
Sorry, at Ohio State.
I know, whatever, but like, there has to be something there that Michigan cannot beat Ohio State. So that was the one game where I was like, okay, they're losing at Michigan State, but like, they're home with Michigan. Can they beat them? Like, is it even mentally possible? I don't know. I think that's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Wait, for who?
Like, can Michigan overcome that?
Okay.
Sorry. I must have said that
All
backwards.
right, yeah. We'll get to that later once we get to Michigan. But all right, let's move on to the second place team from last year, Penn State, because they went 11-2, 7-2 in the conference. Obviously, as I just said, tied for second in the East. Then they won the Fiesta Bowl over Washington. They return only 10 starters this year, 7 on offense and 3 on defense. Their key losses include Saquon Barkley, Deshaun Hamilton, Jason Kabinda, and Christian Campbell. So, defense depleted this year, obviously. What will this defense look like after losing so much?
Yeah, so I think obviously it'll take a little bit to get acclimated and comfortable for these young guys because they lose so much on defense. But luckily for them, they don't have a tough game until Week 5 when they're home for Ohio State. So they get 4 weeks to just kind of figure it out. They have Appalachian State, at Pitt, Kent State, and at Illinois.
Appalachian State's not bad. Just going to say that.
Okay, so those 4 games should be easy. And if they lose any of them, we're all going to think it's a surprise.
Didn't I have Appalachian State beating Georgia last year?
Dude,
Week
probably.
1? I did.
I'm not surprised.
It was a close game, too. In at least the first half. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, shout out Appalachian State. So yeah, I think there's a lot of rebuilding to do, but because they have an easy 4 weeks, that it's going to be better than most people expect. I'm not saying they're going to be top 5, top 10 defense, just better. And they're going to be...
Wait, they're going to be better than last year?
No, I mean like better than people are expecting in general. Like people are like worried about like them rebuilding. I think it's going to be like a quick rebuild because they have so much time in the game to let's figure this out, learn with the growing pains a little bit.
Yeah, I think the defense will be just fine. I mean, they have plenty of talent coming up, and like obviously they've recruited well on the defensive side. Plus, James Franklin is a very solid coach, so I think he'll be able to bring them along. And like Jason said, after a few weeks, they should be perfectly fine before they get into Big Ten time.
Well, I mean, they lose 7 out of their top 8 tacklers last year. I mean, that was also a defense that ranked 6th nationally in points allowed. I think Sharif Miller, he will lead the line, and Amani, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, Aruwari, I don't even know how to say his name. I'm sorry.
Aruwari. Yeah, I don't know.
He'll lead the defensive backs, but will that be enough?
See, that's the thing. Yes, they lose guys that play, but they're not that young. Like, Michigan State last year was young. They had, like, freshmen and sophomores playing. This Penn State team, according to Athlon Sports' magazine, they have 1 freshman. The rest are juniors and seniors. So, like, yeah, they don't have a lot of PT experience, but, like, they're juniors and seniors. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's going to be that much of a learning curve as people expect.
I mean, Phil Steele, he has his experience chart. He has them on 103rd on his experience chart. That's
the whole team, isn't it, though?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
saying...
Still.
I agree. I'm just saying I'm not worried about their defense as much because they've got their entire front 7 besides 1 are juniors. Then they have 1 freshman middle linebacker, which should be interesting to watch. And then their entire backfield that's starting is juniors and seniors. So, like, I think, yes, they're young, but they're not exactly – they're inexperienced, but they're not exactly young.
I mean,
I guess
the thing – I don't see any of these units as elite or even top 15 nationally. And that's where it gets me, and you can't be – I think they will be an average to above average defense this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't know. I don't think that'll be enough to.
I told you I'm
do
not
some
high on the
damage.
Nittany Lions, but we'll get there as we get into the next few questions and get to records. Yeah.
So next question, obviously Saquon Barkley. He was a big time player last year. Will he be missed that much? How much will Barkley be missed?
So I want to make this clear. Barkley will be missed. He will be. He was a transcendent talent and will obviously be incredibly hard to match next year. But I am not that worried about him. I am more worried about Deshaun Hamilton and Mike Gesicki being gone. Those are the guys I think you're going to see a bigger hole in the offense. Trace McSorley is going to have to air it out, and these two guys were two of my favorite prospects in the draft. Deshaun is the all-time catch leader at Penn State. I'm worried about how the receivers are going to do in games like Ohio State, Michigan State, at Michigan, Wisconsin. Are these guys going to show up? You look at the stats, they were 6th in rushing in the Big Ten. That's half. They were 1st in passing offense. Yes, a lot of that's McSorley, but I think a lot of that is Mike Gesicki and Deshaun Hamilton. Those two guys are huge for me. I love them during the draft process, and I think we're going to see them missing that number one guy. Yes, they have Juwan Johnson as like a number one, and they have DeAndre Tompkins as their senior guy, but I just don't think they have a guy like Deshaun Hamilton. They don't have a guy like Allen Robinson back in the day. They just don't have that clear-cut guy, and I think because McSorley doesn't have Barkley, he's going to have that number one guy, and they just don't have it. So that's where I think Barkley comes into play is because he will be missed, we're going to see the holes in Hamilton and Gesicki more. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't forget about Miles Sanders, though, who averaged 6.2 yards per carry a year ago, and 4 offensive line starters back. So I think the running game's going to be fine. And then McSorley, like you said, he's going to throw the ball more this year. The weapons, like you said, Jason, are going to be a little bit of an issue. But, I mean, McSorley's a senior now and a possible Heisman candidate. So,
I don't know. I looked at it from a different perspective here. The backfield, I think it'll be very inexperienced.
You don't like Sanders?
I mean, he only had, 31
I'm just asking. I was just asking. You're not a fan?
They will be inexperienced, like I said. And so, but the O-line definitely will help. I think Franklin, he said this is the best O-line he's had in 5 years, in his 5 years here. He'll be greatly missed, Barkley will, but I think this offense is still one of the best in the Big Ten. So
I'm not sold on that. I'm telling you, I'm not sold on these receivers. You just, if one guy goes down, they are starting fresh.
I think McSorley also makes up for that, but
that's what I'm saying. When the lights get bigger, Ohio State, Michigan State, at Michigan, Wisconsin, who goes up and makes the play? Yeah, it's great that McSorley can scramble and throw the ball, but you've got to go get the ball against
I understand
5 stars that Michigan have. That's where I'm worried. Because, like I said, you look at their starters, Juwan Johnson, DeAndre Tompkins, and Brandon Polk. If one guy gets hurt, they are relying on freshmen. I think McSorley has got to be concerned about that. Deshaun Hamilton and Mike Gesicki were just so reliable. No matter what, you knew they were going to come down with the ball. You knew they were going to get the job done.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of Deshaun Hamilton. I loved watching him play. So that's partially, biased, I guess, because I just liked him as general.
Yeah.
But I just think we're going to see that glare because I'm with Dylan, where I trust Miles Sanders. I think he'll be fine. He's not going to be Saquon Barkley, but he'll be fine.
All right, so if that's the case, we talked about both offense and defense here.
Yeah.
What do you got them going? What do you got them doing?
So I have them 4th in the Big Ten.
Okay.
I have them going – what?
In the East, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, in the Big Ten East. I am going 9-3, and these are the games I think they're going to lose. Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan. For the reason I just said. I am worried about who steps up when the lights get big besides McSorley. I thought about putting Wisconsin on there and putting them at 8-4, but I just think Wisconsin will fold there because it's home. I think that's a big thing is it's home, and it's kind of the last big game on their schedule. It's them and then Rutgers and Maryland. So I think they are able to beat Wisconsin because they just got beat by Michigan in this scenario. So I think they bounce back and beat Wisconsin, but 9-3. I'm not that high on them. I think they will be a 20, 24 ranked team.
yeah, I mean, I also have 9-3, but it's not because I don't think they're talented. It's because, I mean, they've got to play Wisconsin, and, I mean, the other top Big Ten teams just don't.
They do have Ohio State and Michigan State at home, which is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge.
That is huge, but I still think they dropped both the Ohio State and Wisconsin game.
Who's the third loss? Michigan or Michigan State?
At Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have them 4th.
And at Rutgers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All right. I mean, I'm not very high on him either. I think the only elite part of this team is the quarterback position, and actually, no, defensive line. That's pretty solid too. But actually, that's probably like top 10. That's elite also. McSorley, I think he will have to find a way to lead a very inexperienced team to the playoff. But can he? No, I don't think so. You need to lose early, win late, and that's not the way their schedule plays out. I have them at 10-2, 7-2 in the conference, finishing third in the East, and losing to Michigan and Ohio State. They beat Wisconsin in my scenario also, and Michigan State. They beat Michigan State.
You are really a hater on the Spartans, aren't you?
We'll get into that.
They're
right?
literally next. That's why I said it.
Exactly. So let's get into the Spartans of Michigan State here, as they went 10-3 last year. 7-2 in the conference, tied for second in the East, and beat Washington State in the Holiday Bowl. They returned 19 total starters, 10 on offense.
That, Dan? 19.
19
Let's make
total
sure you
starters.
got it.
I got it.
All right.
19 total starters, 10 on offense, 9 on defense. Their key losses include Brian Allen and Chris Fay.
Frey. Not Frey. I talked about him. I love him.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, let's talk about the playoff here with Michigan State. Can this team compete for a playoff spot? If not, basically, what is their ceiling?
So, I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
Yes. And also, it's Chris Fry. I was just messing with you. It's Fry. But keep going.
All right. So, my answer to this question, no. They cannot compete for a playoff spot. They have a lot going for them with 19 total starters returning, but their only elite unit is their defensive backs. And their O-line, below average. Average to below average. You put that O-line up against Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and they will get destroyed. Michigan State will get destroyed with their offensive line by a top 10 defensive line in Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. I don't see it. I think their ceiling is 10-2. I think they can get one of those games, maybe, but my ceiling is 10-2 for them.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer for me, yes, they can, and I say yes because their schedule plays out well. I mean, like Dan said, they don't have a ton of talent, like, honestly, really anywhere. Like you said,
I think they definitely can
yeah,
improve,
the secondary.
Secondary, yep.
But besides that, I don't think I agree with you on that point. But they do have a lot of experience coming back, and I think you have to account for that. Plus, their three hardest games, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, 2 of those are at home. So I think they can. However, I don't have them going to the playoff.
So, to answer the first question, yes, they can. I agree with Dylan, but I think they're a tier down. I think at best they can go 11-1, but will not win the Big Ten championship. We/they, however one say, they return a crazy amount of returners, and that's just because of how young we were last year. Dan mentioned it. I mean, and I mentioned it earlier. We just started so many freshmen and sophomores on defense and offense, where now we've got a lot of juniors and a lot of seniors and a lot of sophomores being ready to play. So I like that. I think Demetrius Cooper and Chris Fry are going to be bigger losses on defense than people realize, but this secondary is truly top 3 to top 5 in the country, and I cannot believe both of you guys are hating on the offense right now. Brian Lewerke is definitely the second or third best quarterback in the Big Ten.
Nope.
LJ Scott is a top running back in the Big Ten.
Nope.
And Felton Davis will guaranteed be on the all Big Ten first team. No doubt in my mind.
Where would you rank LJ Scott?
Definitely on the top half of Big Ten. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll give you top half.
Yeah, so that's a top 5 running back. I think he's a top 5 running back in the Big Ten. I'm not saying he's a stud, but he's a better than average running back. Fair.
I mean, is that a playoff team?
I think Brian Lewerke is good. I didn't say there's a playoff team. I said they're a tier down
Where
from
would
the
you rank Brian Lewerke in the nation? Just give me that.
top 15. Maybe top 10.
Okay.
You're a top 10 quarterback, a top 10 receiver, and a top 5 deep secondary.
And
that is more than enough.
Terrible offensive line.
Yeah, they haven't really had great offensive lines in the past.
And you got to go up against Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, top 10 defensive lines in the country.
Yes, but this is what we've done. This is what we've done the last 5-6 years. Everyone goes, Michigan State can't do it. They have too many holes offensively, and then they always surprise teams. This is literally good that people are hating on them. They play better. Mark D'Antonio is best when he's the underdog. If you look at his record when he's the underdog, he's unreal. They have so much sneaky talent You guys are forgetting how good Brian Lewerke is. He literally...
Great.
Yes, he is!
Okay, I would rank him.
He is
top
a
25.
Heisman candidate.
Oh
If-
my gosh!
How is
dude.
he not? If they go 11-1, you are telling me that he is not a Heisman candidate. If they go 10-2, you're telling me he's not a Heisman
I think
I don't
candidate.
think they will,
if
so
they
it's
if they
like-
go 11-1, I don't think it's because of Lewerke.
Who is it because of? Do not tell me
Scott.
there's this.
Probably.
LJ Scott. You're telling me you're going to put your money on
I
LJ
would
Scott
put-
before you put your money on Brian Lewerke.
I would-
You are insane. Brian Lewerke is a top 10 quarterback in the nation.
Oh my gosh! You just changed it from top 15.
I
to
said top
10,
15,
right
maybe
there.
top 10.
Bro, no.
Yes, he is. How
No
are
way.
how are
He's
you?
not even like. Okay, I'd put him probably 4th or 5th in the Big Ten.
You're got name them right now. Name the 4 better quarterbacks in it.
Trace McSorley,
Okay, and Shea Patterson maybe.
Dwayne Haskins.
You haven't seen him play.
Okay, we're gonna get into this again.
How are you going to tell me that guy is better?
All right, we're not gonna get into that.
Who else? I'll give you him. Sure, 3.
I said 4th or 5th. Right?
He is definitely better than Haskins.
You look at Tua Tagovailoa. Do you want me to just name all of these guys?
What do you mean? They're not in the Big
National.
Ten.
No, I understand that.
But see, you are going with guys that you haven't seen play.
Oh my
I'm going with what
gosh.
we've seen. We have seen Brian Lewerke take
Dwayne
a
Haskins
team.
has played football in the Big Ten.
Okay, but he hasn't been a starter on a national team.
Dwayne
Like-
Haskins played last year. I don't know what you're
Go to
talking
Michigan
about.
State's page right now and tell me how you are discrediting what Brian Lewerke has done for this football team and how good of a quarterback he is. When 2 years ago we went 3-9,
Yeah.
he took them to 10-3 last year.
It wasn't just him.
He's the quarterback. You give the credit to the quarterback every time a team is successful, unless it's Alabama. Like, that is facts. When a team improves,
Right.
it is because of the quarterback 9 times out of 10.
Okay, so you're telling me. Right,
Brian Lewerke is a top 10 quarterback
Right,
in the nation.
right. Okay.
And I think
I think if he is, I have him in like top 20. Okay, I'll give you that. 20, top 20, top
Okay.
25. Okay.
Mhm.
You put him behind that offensive line, that puts him down.
He is so mobile. The offensive line wasn't great last year. It was fine. It was better than this year, but it wasn't great.
It's not as good as last year, that's for sure. You
Yeah,
look
but
at,
it's not like it's.
okay, let's look at
but
a team.
we're not going from best offensive line in the country to this. Like, Lewerke's used to this. The offensive line was not great last year. Brian Allen was the only good piece on that offensive line. That is, like, not debatable.
Okay, let's look at. Okay, I want to just give an example here. Lamar Jackson. Okay,
Okay.
2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
played for a team called Louisville.
He played for him last year,
He
too.
also played for him last year. He was behind an okay offensive line. That offensive line got worse.
I think
the
this
next
is the
year,
debate. Hold on.
and he
Do
did
you-
not play as well
I think this
because
is
of
the
that
debate.
offensive line.
I think this is where we are disagreeing. I think this offensive line is okay. They are
Okay.
average.
All right,
You do not.
I think they're ranked like. Let's put them
In the Big Ten,
in the Big Ten. Oh,
like 10th.
like below average. So
See, I think that's where, like, below average in the Big Ten or below average in college football, or both.
okay, let's look at nationally. I would rank them nationally. Let's put them in the 40s or 50s.
I'd put them 30s to 40s. That's what I'm saying. I think they're average. I'm not saying this offensive line is going to wow people. I'm saying this offensive line is going to do enough.
He's
And
not
I
going to.
trust Brian Lewerke enough to be able to use the offensive line he has. That's the thing. I think the
Yeah.
reason I'm so high on him is because I watched every game he played last year. I watched him have a not great offensive line. I saw him play against Michigan when it was pouring down and no one could walk or run for their lives.
Okay,
Like-
I just think this team. All right, I think they will improve with 19 guys returning. I think that's huge.
Improve from
All right,
10-2?
they're like talent wise. They'll.
Oh, like just like
improve.
play
I
personnel
mean,
wise.
also
Okay, okay.
They didn't beat teams by that much. Iowa beat them by a touchdown. Michigan 4 points. Minnesota 3 points. IU 8.
I mean, why does that matter? I mean, they won.
No, that definitely matters.
Yeah,
They
I mean
won.
record in close games.
Oh yeah.
That's like
huge.
huge. Like you look at that and like
You look at
They
Notre
won
Dame,
in
look
close
at, Look
games.
at Notre Dame.
Like, why is that bad?
because they had close games. You're not going to win every close game you're in. And last year they had an abnormal amount of wins in close games. That's all I'm saying.
That's
I see
fact.
what you're saying. I
That's
see what you're saying. I do. But I guess it's easier for me to justify it because I've watched Michigan State the last 5-6 years. They do this every year. We do not blow out teams like Purdue, IU, Nebraska, Minnesota. We always keep them close, but we just always win. Like, I can tell you every year, whenever we play Purdue or IU, I always say, well, fourth quarter is when we're going to have to turn it on because we won't turn on the first three. Like, we never blow teams out. The only years we do is when we are really freaking good. Like, when we had Connor Cook in 2014. Yeah, then we went out and beat Michigan 35-11. And, like, that was an abnormal year. But normally, Michigan State is not ever blowing out teams. That's the thing is, they are consistently sleepers, and they just get the job done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where
I just don't think
that's why I don't think that matters as much. Not that it's a bad stat in general. I'm saying when it comes to the Spartans, they do this every year. So it's not, ooh, they were close last year. They might not do it this next year.
Right, and because of that, I have them at a ceiling of 10-2.
I agree with what you're saying. I have them going 9-3. So I don't think they're going undefeated.
Our disagreement here
It's just how we look at Lewerke, which it is what it is. I mean, he's going to show us on the field. I was just saying that when I look at Lewerke, I trust him behind the offensive line, and you don't. That's just how we look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm not like trying to say that they're going to go undefeated and they're crazy good. It was more, look, he can make this work because he did it last year. He did it all these years, and I think we're on the same page. It's going to come down to how Lewerke plays on how the season goes.
Yes and no. Yeah, I think so. All right. Let's move on to what do you think they will do this year, record and standings prediction.
So I have 9-3. I'm third in the Big Ten. What?
We both have them at 9-3. We just had that argument.
That's just because we look at Lewerke differently. Yeah, we have them 9-3. I have them third in the Big Ten. I have them losing to Arizona State, Michigan, and at Nebraska. I think
Arizona State.
Yeah, I think Herm Edwards gets them motivated. It's at Arizona State.
Arizona State's not good.
I know, and neither is Nebraska. They're not great either. I think they lose to both of those.
Okay, you think they lose to
Arizona State,
Nebraska,
Michigan, and at Nebraska?
But they beat Ohio State.
They beat Ohio State and Penn State. Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan.
They always show up. Oh, sorry. My bad.
I think they
show
beat
up in big games. They always have, and that's why I think they lose. Yeah. Like the games you guys talked about, those close games. I think we drop a few to how the heck did they lose to that team? But then they can go beat Ohio State and Penn State. So, you feel me?
I have them at 10-2 just because their schedule is incredibly easy, and I do have them upsetting Ohio State, but they lose to Penn State and Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, I have them at 9-3, 6-3 in the conference, finishing fourth in the East. I don't think their offensive line is good enough to beat Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, and that's where it gets me right there. You play if they were in a different conference, if they were in a different division, playing not as good of defensive lines, I could see them double-digit wins, no doubt, and I could see them making the playoff. But they play Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, who is top
Ohio
10
State
defensive
and Michigan
lines.
at home.
Still top 10 defensive lines against a bad offensive line.
And you have Ohio State.
I always look at that. That is huge when it comes to college football.
You have Ohio State in Week 10, so injuries will build up there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, because we all know this. The teams we're looking at now, we could have half the starting lineups be different by Week 12.
Yeah, but that's not the way we look at it.
I'm just saying, like, that is what it is. For Ohio State, I don't think is as deep as they are top heavy on regards to their front seven. They are very top heavy with Nick Bosa. Their starting unit is very good, but I think they aren't as deep. I personally don't think they're that deep.
Defensive line is deep.
I don't think they're that deep.
They lost their, I think it's either they lost their 2 out of their 4 stars or 3 out of their 4 stars, but after that they get everyone back.
Yeah, I'm just saying their front seven, I don't think they're as deep.
Linebackers, I'm not as high on, but defensive line, they're definitely deep.
I don't think they're that deep in defensive line. The same thing I've been saying.
Anyway, let's move on to Michigan, as they went 8-5 last year, 5-4 in the conference, finished 4th in the East, and then they lost to South Carolina in the Outback Bowl, and was the only Big Ten team to lose their bowl game. They returned 17 total starters, 8 on offense and 9 on defense. Their key losses include Mike McCray, Maurice Hurst, and Mason Cole. So, seems like every year the problem with Michigan is quarterback play. Well, that looks different this year. Can Shea Patterson be the difference?
Yeah, I think he can be. I think he will be. I mean, he has 2 incredibly talented wide receivers in Tarek Black and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And even though the offensive line brings reason for concern, I think between Shea Bay's playmaking and the defense just balling out, they should be really good. And I think Shea Patterson is a legitimate Heisman candidate.
All right, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the defense is going to be great, so I mean, he really doesn't even have to be more than a game manager, even though I think he will. The biggest issues are going to be their tackles on the offensive line, but besides that, I mean, the rest of the roster just has so much talent on it, and this is always going to be their year. This is the year that Harbaugh recruited for.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
I think Patterson, he can definitely be the difference and maybe the missing piece they needed. He will no doubt put up the best numbers since 2010. This just creates another storyline for Game 1 against Notre Dame, which might be the biggest game of the year nationally. I mean, that's going to be huge. So, yeah, any other comments on Shea?
No, I mean, like I said, I think he's just a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, I can see it, but not as much as, other players. I think if he gets to the playoff, then, yeah, definitely he will be that key player for them that would be a Heisman candidate. So, let's talk about Harbaugh. Is Harbaugh on the hot seat?
Dylan, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so because I think Michigan will be fine this year. I mean, the biggest criticism of Harbaugh is always he can't beat Ohio State, and I don't think he does this year either. But I do have Michigan being very good, so I think that will get him off of the hot seat. And I mean, Harbaugh's just a Michigan legend. I think it'd be hard
He's
to
not a Michigan legend right now.
keep him in the hot seat.
I think, yes, he's definitely on the hot seat. He will be until he beats Ohio State. And I think that's the way I look at it. This is his fourth year, and he has all the pieces to be a playoff team. If he beats Ohio State and Columbus, then I think the Michigan faithful will definitely believe in him. But until he beats Ohio State, he will always be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, I have some stronger thoughts on Harbaugh. I think he is definitely on the hot seat, and if he does not beat Michigan State and Ohio State this year, he is gone. It has to be both. He is one in. It has to be both. He is 1-7 against top 10 teams.
Yeah.
He is 1-5 versus Michigan State and Ohio State, and is yet to beat Ohio State. I think he is 100% gone if they do not beat their rivals and does not at least have double-digit wins. I think the Michigan alumni the Michigan boosters are so fed up with this because he talked this huge game.
Yeah.
He came in first year, balled out, and now we have seen nothing but a regress. I think, this is somewhat of an NFL take. I don't know how you make it work. If I was the Colts, I would have thought about keeping Pagano one more year to see if Harbaugh goes, because I think Harbaugh will be gone at the end of this year if they don't do that. And so if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, do we stick with Pagano one more year, suck it up, we're going to suck, see if we can get Harbaugh next year when he gets fired. That was a thought.
As a Colts fan, that's a horrible idea, but I kind of see what you're saying. But
why is that a horrible idea? You're not going to be
What
good
if-
either.
what if
one more
Michigan's
year.
good?
Pagano.
Yeah, but it's
you're not
not
doing
like this
that.
team's a playoff contender. We all know they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to be close. You might as well suck it up with Pagano. You're going to be 4 or 5 wins, 6 wins. Anyway,
No.
so what?
Okay, this is not the conversation.
I'm just saying, they're going to have 4, 5, 6 wins, suck it up with Pagano, and then keep Ryan Harbaugh. Because, I truly do think he is gone if they do not. They have to beat Michigan State and Ohio State.
Okay, what if they lose to Michigan State and Ohio State, go 10-2?
Then I think he stays because they have double-digit wins. That was my only contingency. They have to have. I think if they go 9-3 and lose to those two, I think he's gone. I truly do think that the Michigan boosters are not going to do. What is he? 0-4? He'd be 0-5 against Ohio State. Is this his 5th year?
This is his 4th year.
Fourth year would be 0-4 versus Michigan State or Ohio State, and 1-3 versus Michigan State. You just can't do that if you're the Michigan, one of the best football programs in history. You can't do that, and so I think he gets to do. I really do think he's on the hot seat.
I think if he loses to Michigan State, beats Ohio State, goes 9-3, I think definitely he would stay. Because if you beat Ohio State, they haven't won in Columbus since 2000, like I said earlier.
Plus, it's the last game of the season too.
Right. I think that'd be
Going out on a high note.
Huge.
I personally think that just hearing from what seems to be the vibe around Michigan is they have to beat their rivals, and I think it doesn't just stop at Ohio State. It sounds like Michigan State is a big one too, especially if Michigan State's good again this year. If they lose to a Michigan State team, and then Michigan State goes off and beats Ohio State, and now Michigan State is the best team in Michigan, like that. I said that with quotation marks. They can't see me, but like that, like best team in Michigan mantra again. Michigan fans will, or Michigan boosters will not like it. I think Michigan fans, Notre Dame fans, and probably, really those two are very much like we need to be at the top all the time, or something needs to change. And I could see that being this year. Actually, I couldn't see this being this year because I think Michigan's good enough. But this is all hypothetical. If Harbaugh is not successful, if you would ask me last year, like I think it just worked out for him. That's what sucks. Like it works out. Like this is his really good team. But like if last year's team was this year, I'd say he's definitely gone. This guy is. Like,
he has all the pieces.
Exactly. Like there's no reason you should not have 8 wins minimum.
It'll
like
be
there
a
is
tough decision because I don't know. I don't know.
There's not really gaps in this team.
But
and
he's recruited so well. That's the thing.
But it hasn't amounted to anything. Recruiting's great until you lose to Ohio State 5 years in a row.
It's a hard decision to make.
It's a brutal firing. It is hard to say, quarterback of our team, one of our most famous alumni, we brought you back with so much hype, hey, bye. Like, it is a very tough firing, letting go, whatever. They're going to mutually parting ways, whatever they're going to make it happen. I don't think they have to worry about it because I think Harbaugh gets his job back this year.
All right, let's talk about the record and standings prediction for this year, Michigan Wolverines.
I have them 10-2. I have them first in the Big Ten because I think they beat Ohio State, and I have them losing at Notre Dame the first game of the season and home versus Wisconsin.
I also have 10-2 and tied for second in the. Well, actually, no, they'd be second in the Big Ten because I have them beating Michigan State, losing to Wisconsin and Ohio State.
Who do you have winning the Big Ten?
Yeah, that's what mine.
Ohio State.
Hold on, they played.
You had Michigan State beating Ohio State.
Yeah, who do you have Michigan State losing to?
Michigan State loses to Michigan.
You said they lost to
Michigan and Ohio State.
No, you had them beating Ohio State.
Yeah,
oh no, Michigan and Penn State. My bad.
Okay, so then Ohio State will win.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I actually have the exact same as Jason, 10-2, 8-1 in the conference, losing to Wisconsin.
See, that's part of the thing is when they lose week 1 in Notre Dame, you're gonna start hearing it. I know it's one game, but you are gonna hear it.
Definitely.
Especially if they get blown out. Like if it's like
Dude, that'd be sweet.
If it's like 38-10, 38-13.
Sorry, Michigan fans. I'm a Notre Dame fan. But.
No, Dan, you can tell.
Yeah.
No, yeah, just like if it's bad, I'm gonna love it. Hating Michigan my entire life, I will love it.
All the Michigan fans just turned off right now. You know that.
Well, they got us this one.
Yeah. No, but
we have them going first. It's not like we're hating on them. We just don't like them.
I understand.
Yeah.
But who wants to listen to Michigan haters? But anyway, in my scenario, I don't like it, but I think you had Ohio State going 10-2, right?
So this is how I have it as of right now with the top 4, because the rest of the 3 don't really matter. I have it Michigan 1 at 10-2, Ohio State 2 at 10-2, Michigan State 3 at 9-3, and Penn State 4 at 9-3.
Okay, I have Michigan State 1 at 10-2, and
Michigan State 1.
That's what Sorry, Michigan at 1.
Shout out Brian Zawerke.
No, stop. Michigan 1 at 10-2, and Ohio State 2 at 11-1. I don't want that.
Yeah, that's messed up.
I don't want that.
That is messed up.
It is.
Fix it.
How?
I don't know.
Do they make I don't know. Do they make the playoff?
You have Ohio State 2 at 11-1.
Yes. Then they don't have to play that extra game. They're sitting pretty. Actually, no, they're not. They just lost to Michigan.
Yeah. Committee is not getting them. And they're not
they won't make it.
Yeah, they're not getting it. I mean, that'd be, I think.
Didn't you have that scenario last year?
He had something like that. You had a weird scenario last year with like Penn State, like going because Michigan beat this team, and it was odd.
I don't know. But
go check it out.
I mean, they'll definitely be in the conversation if they're at 11-1. But
that's what I'm saying. I think it'll be the same thing like this year, where it's like Ohio State should be in, Ohio State should be in, but like they don't get it.
Actually, it'll be like.
Oh, God.
It'll be the total opposite of Alabama and Ohio State. They'd be in the.
They'd be flipped.
They'd be
flipped.
Right, and they'd be discussing. They'd be trying to go
argue the other side.
Yeah,
and it's like
right.
They're like freezing cold takes you just like sitting here eating popcorn.
That's funny.
That is funny.
So yeah, let's move on to the team we've all been waiting for. The
Rutgers. Let's go, Scarlet Knights,
the
baby.
Rutgers Scarlet Knights. As last year. They went 4-8, 3-6 in the conference, and finished 5th in the East. And they actually had a pretty good year for 4-8 with 3 wins in the Big Ten. That's pretty solid for a Rutgers team.
Almost beat Eastern Michigan. Brutal loss. Thought they had it. Put them at 5-7. Killed Morgan State 65-0.
Big time.
I'm telling you guys, Rutgers, freaking watch out. My favorite game of the entire college football season has to be Rutgers at Kansas. Like, how do you not like that game? Rutgers at Kansas. That is fantastic. Dylan and I have been talking about that, how long, like a month and a half now?
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be so good. Such great football. It's at Kansas.
I think there's some worse teams than Rutgers.
In the Power 5? Kansas and Rutgers. That just is what it is.
I mean,
it always is.
I like it because of the tradition.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's not like this year. It's just you're just like, if you think Power 5...
8-5 in 2014.
Bro, Power 5 bad teams. Who do you think of? Rutgers and Kansas. Every time.
No.
Yes, you do.
You think of Kansas. That's the one I think of immediately.
I think of Kansas and Rutgers. Well, I think for Dylan and I, we're Big Ten people. So we think of Kansas and the Big Ten. Rutgers.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rutgers, they returned 15 total starters, 7 on offense and 8 on defense. Their key losses include Gus Edwards, Kyle Bolin, Janarian Grant, and Kamoko Toure.
I want to be fair here. I do think this is a good team for Rutgers. They're just like, I want to make sure I don't people don't think I'm hating. This is probably his best team that Coach Ash has had. It's actually a very solid team. But just how do you pick Rutgers to win games? You just can't.
Right.
You have to just expect them to lose.
They have a tough schedule too.
The beginning's real easy.
Wisconsin.
Beginning is real easy. Up until October 13th, look at that. Texas State, Ohio State, but then Kansas, Buffalo, IU, Illinois. 5-1.
I mean,
Rutgers,
they do have IU
if
and
Rutgers
Illinois
goes bowl bound, I am going to the game. Sports Sermon is going to the Rutgers bowl game right now. Mark it down. We are going to the first Rutgers bowl game.
Well, they're not going to a bowl, so I don't care.
The first Rutgers bowl game, they went in 2014.
Dan, since the Sports Sermon's been alive. Texas State, Kansas, Buffalo, IU,
won
Illinois.
Their bowl game in 2014.
Dan, we're not talking about 2014. Texas State, Kansas, Buffalo, IU, Illinois. They could win all of those games. 5-1. They just got to steal one more.
They got to steal one more. Dude,
I'm actually being serious, though.
Who are they stealing it from?
What are you saying
Maryland,
right now?
Northwestern, Michigan. Dude, what if Rutgers beats Michigan and then Harbaugh gets fired that day? That's the dream scenario for all of us, guys. We hate Harbaugh. We hate Michigan.
Rutgers beat Michigan a couple years ago.
Remember when they lost and had 9 yards? You guys remember that
they
year?
beat Michigan in
2014. Didn't they have 9 yards of offense? Remember that, Dan? It was 72-0. Michigan won against Rutgers. They had 9 yards of offense. That was the greatest game ever. All right. Do we even need to talk about Rutgers anymore?
3-9.
I haven't said 3-9, 2-10.
I have them at 3-9.
I wrote down all of their losses instead of writing down their wins. I'm just it's that team, that team, that team.
I think one player to look out for, though, is Deontay Roberts at linebacker.
Heisman.
Other than that, there's not a lot to like. 3-9, 0-9 in the conference.
Dan, do we see a Heisman contender on Rutgers? They go 6-6. You have to give Rutgers a Heisman vote.
Let's move on to the Indiana Hoosiers.
That's our squad.
Yeah, hey, we got 2 IU guys coming to IU
3,
next
Dan.
year. Nope, not gonna happen.
We'll see.
Go Flyers. Anyway,
that's right. When IU goes to the tournament in basketball next year and Dayton doesn't, Archie will recruit you over.
We also stole your coach.
We also stole your coach. That's real awkward.
We're fine. Anyway.
and Giannis is gone.
Costas. Anyway, this is college football we're talking about here.
So shout out Dayton. They have a football team.
The Indiana Hoosiers, as they went 5-7 last year. Wait, should we do an FCS podcast?
Yeah, Dan, we'll let you talk, and Dylan and I'll sit here going, yeah, go Aggies.
I low-key want to get into the FCS now that I'm going to an FCS school.
Then low-key do a podcast by yourself on the FCS.
All right.
You actually could. Actually would be fun. People do that all the time. Do them by yourself. I'll come on with you. I'll talk about them. Shout out the Flyers.
Go Flyers.
And then we'll make a bet that if they're not bowl eligible, even though it's not a thing, they have to come to IU.
No. Anyway.
They don't make the playoffs.
If they don't go to the FCS playoffs, you have to come.
Tough to do.
Dayton should hold themselves
to
accountable.
do it.
All right, do you want to talk about IU?
Indiana Hoosiers hey, they went 5-7 last year, 2-7 in the conference, tied for 6th in the East, and of course gave 3 top-ranked teams a scare.
Classic IU.
Yeah, classic. They only returned 10 starters this year, 7 on offense and 3 on defense.
Oh, no.
Their key losses include Richard Legault, or
Goat.
Exactly.
Richard Legault.
I was going to say it. Anyway,
Thank you.
Cobbs and Tigray Scales. But this past year, Tom Allen did a great job recruiting. are you guys optimistic about the future?
So I think everyone in Indiana can tell you IU had a big recruiting year. They got a number 5 player in the country. Oh wait, that's basketball. I don't care about college football recruiting, so
Jeez.
I just know that Dylan and I both were loving the recruits as they were pouring in. For me, going to IU, I'm more happy Romeo's coming than anything else. But whatever makes more games interesting for us when we're at IU, I'm not going to complain. But I think it's great. But I just don't know how these guys are going to turn out.
Okay, but still, you're going to see him for 4 years instead
That's what I'm saying.
of 1.
I'm not going to complain. If they're
only going to see Langford for 1 year.
You just call him Langford. How do you refer to him as Langford? Just Romeo. He didn't need a last name. He's Romeo. He is the most famous.
Can we talk
IU
about
basketball.
the IU?
You brought it up.
You did.
You said he's only going to be there for 1 year, so I was like, all right, refer to him as the GOAT. We're going to talk about Romeo. Bro, shout out Romeo, leading IU to a national championship. We're talking about IU. IU is a basketball school. So, I was saying, I care more about college basketball recruiting than I do college football.
Okay, hold on.
That's all I was
Why
saying.
are these people here, Jason?
To listen about Romeo Langford.
No, they're
Why
not.
are you here, Dan?
I want to talk about college football. Have other people know what they're.
I'm just saying. Dan, all I was saying is that
team is gonna look like this year.
whatever makes games more interesting while we're at IU, I'm not complaining. I don't think these recruits are going to make us we're going to be Big Ten contenders. We're going to be fine. 6-6, 8-4 at best, 3-9 at worst. We're just going to kind of.
All right, Dylan. Long-time IU fan going to IU next year. What do you think about the recruiting?
So I love what Tommy Allen's doing. 2 top 50 recruiting classes in a row. But unfortunately, this year is just going to be really bad for IU. They have some weapons on the offensive side, but the quarterback situation is not looking too great. And then the defense, they had a very
the quarterback situation or cornerback.
Quarterback, well,
I
cornerback
I
too.
know what you said.
The entire defense is basically gone for IU.
We have a ball brother on the defensive end, on the defensive side of things. He actually must be real good. He might be all Big Ten second team. Marcelino Baller, obviously.
Yeah, but T-Ray Scales and Rashard Fant. The
T-Ray.
defense is just going to be.
Please be a hater, Dan, as you go fact check me.
No,
check out Marcelino Ball.
Yeah, he's there.
I know he is. That's why I said
it.
Ball brothers never disappoint in college.
I'd be optimistic if I were you guys.
Yes,
I am. I'm very
okay. You'll be in this class. They're in the same class as these. What?
No, these are 2019 recruits I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about this next year coming in.
The past couple years.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about this
process.
I thought you meant this past season. You said this year. I thought you meant this going into 2019. You mean the 2018 recruits that are going to play this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be freshmen.
I got you.
With you guys. They'll be in the same class as you.
I thought you were talking about, I thought you meant, when you say recruiting this year, I thought you meant for next year. You see what I'm saying?
Does that change your analysis at all?
We can talk about Romeo more if you want. Go.
Anyway, I'd be optimistic about it. You will be in the same class as these guys like Ronnie Walker Jr. and Michael Penix Jr. They should be fun to watch as you guys grow older with them. Watch them as upperclassmen. Anyway, so just a little question here about IU. What team? They give them a scare every year. They give all teams a scare. What team do you think they give a scare to this year, like they always do?
Okay, I'm feeling Penn State.
Penn State?
Yeah, I think so.
At home. Yep. I can see that. Michigan State?
That one's at home too. Yeah, maybe.
That'd be fun to watch.
It's not fun.
You're gonna see Parents Weekend.
You don't.
Shout out Parents Weekend.
You don't understand the pain of watching IU football collapse in every
Dylan,
single
your first mistake
quarter.
is thinking they're going to win. It's what we do at Michigan State. We go, we know we're going to win. It's just going to look bad the first 3.5 quarters. So we're going to be flipped at the Michigan State IU game. I don't know who I'm going to root for in that game.
You're an awful person.
But
you definitely need to root for IU.
You're telling me if Dayton and Notre Dame are playing, you're going to root for Dayton in basketball? No way. No, you're not. You're not going to root for Dayton.
I'm paying the money.
Yeah, to go to school.
Right.
No, I'm
going to support them.
I'll definitely root for IU basketball. I don't know about football. Because Michigan State football is...
IU basketball over Michigan State basketball?
For sure. Especially if I'm going to manage.
What's the difference?
If I'm going to be part of the team...
What's the difference,
I might be part of the team. Would I not root for the team I'm working for? If I manage IU basketball, they will be my favorite team. That's just
working for or paying? Both.
If I'm working for them, they're paying me.
No, you're not. They're not paying you to manage basketball.
And managers do get paid. Why are we talking about this? But yes, managers do get paid to manage basketball.
Okay, not as much as like the. Never mind.
The fact of the
Not as
matter
much
is,
as the
What are
players.
we talking
Michigan-
about?
We just all got off the rails by talking about not rooting for Michigan. IU definitely when Michigan State comes. My team for a scare is definitely going to be Michigan State because of what I just said. Michigan State keeps it close with everybody. IU keeps it close with everybody. Only Michigan State always wins, and IU always loses. Except for 2 years ago when we went 3-9 and IU won. And I had to hear about that forever. But, yeah.
I could see Penn State though coming off Michigan State.
I mean, it's usually not just one team. It could be Penn State. It could be Ohio State. Like, I mean, Dylan, we watched the game Ohio State last year at that Thursday
that
night.
was
They
crazy.
yeah, like we
Nick
know.
Westbrook.
Yeah.
Simi Cobbs.
Low-key-
Shout out Simi Cobbs.
Low-key, J.K.
Dylan,
Dobbins
where is
was
Simi
kind of
Cobbs?
the difference in that game.
Redskins, maybe Bears. I don't know. He kind
That's
of.
like the only place.
he
That's
switched
literally the
one
only place IU players go is the Redskins and the Bears. Isn't that where? No, and the Falcons. Evan Coleman went there. But like, didn't Sudville go to the Redskins when he got out of?
I mean, when he was drafted, he's not on there anymore.
I mean, like, yeah, they always the Redskins and the Bears are big IU guys.
I mean, there are other players on IU besides Nate Sudfeld and Jordan Howard that went to the NFL.
And Simi Cobbs. I was just saying, like,
Anyway, record and standings prediction. IU Hoosiers.
so I have them 7-5. I have them 5th in the Big Ten. I am optimistic. I was surprised to hear Dylan say he doesn't like the quarterback position. I am a big fan of the quarterback position. I like Brendan Dawkins coming in as a senior, experienced. I like Peyton Ramsey. Both those guys, I think, will make a very good quarterback room. Nick Westbrook's going to ball. I saw Peyton Hendershot destroy Guerin, so, like, he might do something. But, yeah, I mean, I think this team is going to be someone that people are sleeping on a little bit. I think they're going to go undefeated in conference play, and then I think they lose to, like, the powerhouse. I think they lose to Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. And I think their 5th loss is going to be Iowa. I think they dropped that game to Iowa. But I think they can beat a team like Maryland. They can beat Purdue. They can win at Minnesota. And I think they win Virginia, Ball State, and FIU is why I have it 7-5. I'm optimistic about the quarterback position. I like Brandon Dawkins a lot.
I mean, I like the future, but
Dawkins is a senior. I
well,
like
not,
him a lot.
not- I mean, I'm talking about more like Penix for the future. But I think that I was going to go 5-7 this year. Like I said, the defense is just going to be pretty atrocious unless Tom Allen throws something together crazy this year.
It'll be big time.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm literally not that. Like, I don't think they're going to be that bad. Do you think? Like, what do you have them, Dan? Like,
6-6.
Yeah, like I think they're a bowl team.
Wait, what do you have them?
5-7.
I'm just surprised. Like, I think the offense will be good, and I think like Jacob Robinson's going to be a good little player as a senior. I like Marcelino Ball as a sophomore. Like
Also,
those guys, I think this is going to be a good team. Like,
also shout out to Brandon Knight.
yeah, the point guard from the Suns.
What?
Brandon Knight, the point guard
No.
from the Suns.
Shout out to
You
Brandon
cannot tell
Knight.
me, Dylan, you did not think of the point guard from the Suns when you said Brandon
When I
Knight.
think of Brandon Knight, IU football, I think of the guy from Nosville, Indiana.
Like, you went to Knowles High School?
He went to Nosville High School. Played baseball.
Shout
with
out
my
Knowles
brother.
High School.
Anyway, yeah.
It's all right. The guy that I think of when we talk about people from around here is Peyton Hendershot. Tri-West, Dylan, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he destroyed our team in football. Like, literally, he was just a one-man wrecking crew. We played him in sectionals, or was it regionals? Sectionals. Oh, it was bad.
All right.
Yeah.
We should have a high school football podcast. Anyway,
Dan has wanted to do that since he was in
That's
the beginning
unique.
of high school.
that's unique. Anyway, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. As last year they went 4-8, 2-7 in the conference, and tied for 6th in the East. They returned 13 total starters, 8 on offense and 5 on defense. Their key losses include Jermaine Carter and Josh Woods. What do you like about Maryland? Record and standings prediction. What do you got?
So I have them. I think really what this season's going to hinge on is going to be whether they make a bowl. That's what makes them successful or not. I think they sneak in at 6-6.
Really?
They're 5th, and I think their only losses are Texas, Minnesota, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State. That is 6 if you're going to go count my math. I thought it was 7-2 for a second, but it's 6. Texas, Minnesota, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah, I don't like Maryland as much. I mean, you got to like Ty Johnson, but not much else on their
I
squad.
like Casey Hill.
I think they'll be 5-7 and finish second to last because I think IU beats them when they
You think
face
they
them.
beat Iowa?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not that high on Iowa. Like, I have
And IU?
Iowa beating IU.
You think that Maryland beats?
Oh, yeah, I
Iowa?
think Maryland. Yeah.
Okay. Last year they started 3-1 but finished 1-7. They had a lot of close games. This year I have them about the same as IU, but since the game is at IU, I give the nod to the Hoosiers. I have Maryland at 4-8, 2-7 in the conference, finishing 6th in the East. And yeah. So, let's move on to our Heisman contenders from the Big Ten East. Jason, go for it.
How many do you guys have?
I have 2. Maybe
I have
3. I could say.
I have 4 potentially.
I have 4,
Oh my
but
gosh.
one's kind of like a either or. I'll
You go
explain
first.
it.
Yeah, go first.
So my first one is going to be Dwayne Haskins / J.K. Dobbins.
Okay.
I know-
Whichever
I know
one.
what you're saying. Yep.
Because, I mean, Ohio State's going to be a playoff contender. Whichever one has
I'd put
the
J.K.
better
Dobbins
season.
in front of Dwayne Haskins. But
I mean, probably. But
I mean, if Haskins, like, if
If
they air it
Haskins
out,
has-
yeah. I know what you're saying. And, like, if Weber splits carries with him.
And then I also have Trace McSorley and Shea Patterson in the conversation.
me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have Shea Patterson. I mean, if he turns into Johnny Football, but I don't think
Stop
he will
it
be.
right now. He will never be the
I mean,
next
he's-
Johnny Football.
If
mean,
you
I
think
keep
he's the
hearing
next,
comparisons, but
yeah,
no.
he's definitely the
I
next
hate it.
one. Who would you say? Who would you compare?
There isn't another Johnny Manziel. Guys,
That's not the point.
Why?
Who's the next closest
Baker
to Johnny
Mayfield
Manziel?
was. Baker Mayfield.
Okay,
I think,
yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think he was the closest.
I
That
think
we'll
Nick
see.
Fitzgerald. We talked about this earlier.
I'm not like. Okay, keep going. We won't. Get
Nick Fitzgerald and Shea Patterson. Shea Patterson in high school, he was literally.
I know. He was
Johnny
compared to him
Manziel.
all the time. I just.
I think,
I truly don't think we're ever going to see another Johnny Manziel. Just like we'll never see another Tim Tebow. Like they're just different.
I think if he turns into Johnny Football, then yeah, he'll be in the Heisman conversation. But I don't think he will be that good this year. He'll be good enough to be a star in Ann Arbor, but not nationally to be a Heisman. I also think
This is Shea Patterson's comeback season, and
stop it,
dude, I'm helping your case right now. Shea Patterson's comeback season. Johnny's having his comeback season. Maybe it is. What if I have to root for Michigan because he's like Johnny Manziel? Oh boy, keep going.
and you're high on him.
I know. I'm saying I actually like him this year. But I do like Texas A&M this year too. Keep going.
Have you not liked Texas A&M in the past?
I just like the Manziel connection. Texas A&M's good. I was just saying like team wise. Keep going.
Okay. I also like Trace McSorley for Heisman contender.
Mm-hmm.
If Penn State gets the playoff, it'll be because of him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If they get the playoffs, it'll be because of him. And that's kind of how I went through all 4 of my Heisman contenders. I think there are 4 teams that can, if everything goes right, they can be in the playoff conversation. Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State. For me, I ranked them 1 through 4 in this order of likelihood that their team gets there, but also are they going to be the number 1 person? So my first person, Shea Patterson. Dan, you mentioned it too. If he turns out to just ball, I think he's number 1 because if Michigan has a quarterback, it's been an easy thing to point to of why they're good. And he's going to get the opportunity. He's going to have – he has a tough enough schedule where, like, if he balls out versus Notre Dame, he's got those statement-type games on the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
My second one is Brian Lewerke because I was between him and J.K. Dobbins at number 2. Dylan, when you mentioned it with Haskins and Dobbins, I don't know which one's going to be. I know for sure if Michigan State gets to the playoff, it is because of Brian Lewerke. So I have him at my number 2. 3 is Dobbins, like I said, and then number 4 is Trace McSorley, just because I do not think it is realistic to see Trace McSorley and the Penn State Nittany Lions going to the playoff. That was really why I have number 4. Like, he is probably, like, if you put them all in the same team, McSorley is probably the most likely to be the Heisman, but because I am not as high on Penn State, I just have McSorley at number 4.
So you have Lewerke ranked as number 2?
What do you mean?
Like, most likely to win the Heisman?
Like, I have, like, Shea Patterson's, like, the number 1, like, most likely Heisman, Lewerke 2, Dobbins 3, McSorley 4. If, like, all of this goes well. Because, like, they're all going to win the Heisman if they have a good season. And, like, they have a playoff-worthy season. So, like, if all of these teams are playoff-worthy, Shea, Lewerke, JK, McSorley. Dan, you seem intrigued. Well, you nodded your head. What was that for?
I was just looking at Phil Steele's. He says Lewerke could be a contender. So.
Does he? Yeah, I think this is all I was going to mention. I just forgot it while I was talking about this. I was going to mention with you, just like one last thought on Lewerke and all that. I think I look at Brian Lewerke as you looked at Nick Fitzgerald. He's going to be like the guy where he would be like, they're the sleeper team. He's going to surprise people. I'm not that high on Nick Fitzgerald. I think he'll be fine. I think they're going to be 4th. Yes, Nick Fitzgerald's more like of a like.
So hold on.
What?
Do you think Brian Lewerke's better than Nick Fitzgerald?
No,
Okay.
not what I said. I'm saying
I almost
with
I
the
almost flipped.
situation
I almost
wise.
flipped. All right. Go ahead.
situationally, they are in a similar situation where they are the entire team, where they have to put the team on their back and go get a win. And so what I'm saying is, I have more faith in Michigan State than Mississippi State. You think Mississippi State's a sleeper team. I think Michigan State's a sleeper team. So that is why I have him in the Heisman conversation. The same reason you have Nick Fitzgerald. You don't see what I'm saying? Where like the comparison is why you don't
have Michigan State at 9-3.
Yes, but their ceiling is 11-1. So that's where I think we look at it, and because I think lose to Arizona State and Nebraska. I think they just dropped those 2 games where it's like, are you kidding me? Guys, you see it every year. We just drop a game. We're like, why did we drop that game?
Wait, that's the.
What?
You have them at 2 losses in the Big Ten, don't you?
No, 1. It was in Arizona. Oh, Nebraska. Yeah, 2. Sorry, 2. Nebraska and Michigan.
Nebraska. I totally blew by.
I love Scott Frost. I am all like you loved what's his face at Michigan. PJ Fleck, or not Michigan, Minnesota.
Yeah.
PJ Fleck, I love Scott Frost.
I do too.
I would run through 18 brick walls for that dude. That's the thing is, they're not that good, but that is the exact type of game that Michigan State would drop. Just knowing how we play.
Lost to Northwestern last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the one I would think of. Northwestern was also a good team.
Northwestern was just like bad record-wise, but a good team. They're gonna be good this year too.
Northwestern was a good team.
I'm just saying, like they weren't like their record didn't
ranked.
show. I'm just saying, yeah, like their
they
record.
Went 10-3.
Yeah, but like they were never like, oh, Northwestern's a contender. It's always kind of like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean that's because they started off.
That's what I'm saying. So like I think people like were as easy to sweep them under the rug, but yeah, Northwestern was a balling team.
So I'm not sure why you have them losing to those 2 teams then.
I just told you why. It just feels like a game where I could see us dropping, whether it's a trap game, whether it's, hey, we're actually favored for a game, we're going to drop it. Like, it's just little things like that where it would not be surprising if we went, you know what, we just beat Ohio State, we come off a high, drop to Nebraska. Same type thing with Arizona State. We get lazy, we're like, we don't have a tough game until October 13th, we can kind of coast. Oh, shit. Herm Edwards, because, okay, Herm Edwards might be the one of the best motivating coaches in college football.
PJ Fleck.
I said one up. I didn't say the most. I'm saying in general. Like, Herm Edwards is so motivating where it's like, it's at Arizona State, so you change time zones. You have to go down. And it's just a team where I'm like, hey, maybe they do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Michigan State always shows up against good teams. It's just who they are. They always show up against good teams, except for when they got shellacked on last year by Ohio State. That was so upsetting.
Go Irish. Anyway. That was a pretty good game for Notre Dame. Anyway, let's move on to surprise team of the year out of the Big Ten East.
I'm going to go with both of my teams, I guess, with IU and Michigan State are kind of my surprise teams. Mentioned the same thing, how Michigan State, I just am high on them. I think they could be a playoff team if everything goes right. IU, I have them going 7-5. Not many people are thinking they're a bowl team, and if they are, they're 6-6. So I think they're kind of my surprise team because I have them at 7-5 and not really dropping any like.
I'm not sure Michigan State's a surprise. You have them at 9-3.
That's worse than they finished last year.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Michigan, I guess, because I have them at the biggest jump in the Big Ten from last year. But I mean,
wait, who do you have? What did you say? I'm sorry.
Michigan.
Michigan. That's what I said. I don't really have one, but since I don't have Ohio State winning the Big Ten, then I'll give it to Michigan. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's all we have for today. If you want to check out some more of our college football podcasts, make sure you subscribe. Go through our old ones. Currently, we have the SEC done, and we're going to do the other half of the Big Ten next week. Just keep going until we get done with all of the Power 5 conferences and Notre Dame. But this is all we have for today, and we will see you very soon.